Your Partner in Success Radio is a free business podcast with host Denise Griffitts. It's all about great stories, conversation, and context to help you move your business and life forward with actionable tips and advice from her guest experts. To listen and subscribe, just find us on iTunes, Google Play, or wherever you consume your podcasts.
Welcome back to Your Partner in Success Radio. I am your host, Denise Griffitts, and I'm so glad you're here because today we are diving into a topic that so many small business owners and entrepreneurs need to hear about, and that's how to scale without taking on the weight and the cost of a full executive team. My guest today is Tonya Roberts. She is a seasoned fractional COO, and she's here to share real-world insights on operational excellence, fractional leadership, and the smart growth strategies that actually move the needle. And this episode today of Your Partner in Success Radio is proudly sponsored by Damon Limby. He is the CEO of Learn It and the author of the Learn It All Leader Mindset, Traits, and Tools. I have that book on my desk. It's great. And Damon is passionate about helping individuals and organizations thrive through continuous learning and leadership development. His work really is a must-read for anyone looking to grow personally and professionally in today's ever-evolving business landscape. So today I want to introduce you to Tonya Roberts. She is the founder of Harmony Consulting Group, and with 18 years of global experience spanning 30 countries, Tonya is a fractional COO. I mentioned that earlier, but I didn't mention that she is also an HR consultant who helps organizations scale efficiently, build inclusive teams, and develop strong leadership. She is very passionate about empowering women entrepreneurs and business leaders to achieve both professional success and personal fulfillment. Welcome to Your Partner in Success Radio, Tonya. It's good to have you here.
Thank you. So happy to be here, Denise.
We've been trying to get this done for a while, haven't we? So
It's been a couple months.
Yeah, we finally made it. But before we dive into your work as a fractional COO, and I'm going to get you to explain that, and the impact that you've had helping businesses scale, I'd love to start with a personal question that I ask so many of my guests, and that is, how do you show up in the world? What excites you and what makes you just get out of bed and go, here I am?
I think I show up just being unapologetically me.
There you go.
Yeah, that's it. I think at this point in my career, there's no need to mask. There's no need to dim my light. Just I am what I am, and who is meant to be in my orbit is meant to be. And if you're not, that's okay too.
I just wrote that down. Dim your light. That is so important, particularly for women.
Yes.
Why that is, I don't know. I used to do the same thing. I don't anymore. But it took a long time for me to say, I am who I am. You either like me or you don't. I don't care.
Absolutely.
Right. Well, tell us, what exactly does a fractional COO do?
A fractional COO, I like to describe it as we are the how of the business. You have your CEO, your big visionary leader, and not to say that COOs can't be visionaries too, because we absolutely are, but we are the person who comes in, and if you have an amazing idea, but you're either not sure of how to execute it, or you're just busy not being able to execute it, we're gonna be the one that says, okay, tell me what your vision is, help you get really clear on that, and then put all the pieces of that puzzle together. So those pieces include the people, the technology, the systems, the processes, the performance measures, and the marketing. We may collaborate with your marketing team and other people to just really operationalize your vision, make it become your reality, make sure that it is still on track, and help you grow it.
What got you started down this path?
You know, it's interesting. I've always done operational type work, and I didn't realize that that's what it was. The process improvement, the change management, all of that stuff. And then in 2020, I partnered with a couple of people to really grow out our businesses together as I was transitioning away from corporate. And I just fell into that role. I was the one that was more organized, more structured. I Lean Six Sigma Black Belt, so I understood processes. I understood the business development side. Of course, as a HR or human capital consultant, I understood the people side of it. And so I just kind of naturally fell into the role of COO and really enjoyed it and realized, hey, that's truly my purpose here in business, to just put everything together, make it organized. And now I do that for others.
What is I think I wrote this down properly. What is Lean Sigma Black Belt?
Oh, the Lean Six Sigma Black Belt. So all that simply means is that we are all about putting together your process, leaning out any waste, and removing any unnecessary steps. So it is the fastest way for you to get to point A to Z.
And I thought that's what it meant. And I did a little bit of poking around, say, what in the heck is, because it's a neat name. It's like, oh, that sounds scary. But
No,
it's
no.
really, it's not though. So good for you. I mean, I'm pleased that you're here to explain this because I don't know much about fractional anything
Mhm.
other than, quite honestly, the websites that I've built for people who do this kind of work. That's the extent of my knowledge. And I'm so glad you're here to explain how small businesses can benefit from this model.
Thank you.
So, what are some common misconceptions about fractional leadership that you think people need to know about?
Um, I think some of the common misconceptions may be that it's really expensive, or that the person can't take on some of the more traditional roles of an executive, meaning that they don't have responsibility for team leadership, or they may not manage your budget. And that's not necessarily true. I think with each client, you figure out what that role looks like for that client. But I am leading teams, I am looking at budgets. I am showing up at your executive level meetings. The real difference is the amount of time that I may spend with you, right? So I'm not just the COO for one company, I'm the COO for a few different companies. And that allows you to
Right.
benefit from that expertise, but at a fraction of the cost.
And I'm thinking that people may say, oh, I can't hire somebody like that full time, but it's not full time, is it?
No, it's not. No.
Yeah, I think that's one of the common misconceptions.
Hmm.
So when you're talking with people or they're, contacting you, say, help me, and you're going through the consultation phase of it, and then you get to okay, I can help you, we can do this. I'm guessing that you go through a lot of discussion with them before anything happens.
Yes, we do. Because I need to understand your business. I need to understand your working style, what systems you have in place, your processes, who's doing what in the business. And I think most importantly, what is your vision? What's your endpoint? Where do you want to be 6 months from now, a year from now, 3 years from now? Is there anything in the way that is holding you back from getting there? Um, do you have that work life harmony? Who are you outside of running your business? Because I am all about providing a more holistic approach, right? Your business can't be all together and your personal life is messed up. At some point that
Right.
can bleed over into your business. So I want to, understand, when's the last time you took a vacation? Are you doing any self-care days, and whatever that looks like for you? How stressed out are you? Right? Uh, and some people, maybe they want to start a family, and or they have a family and they want to make more time for their family. So how can I help you achieve that vision? What can I put in place? And then how do we prioritize that together?
And when we talk about, and you said it was different, work-life harmony. I call it, we hear all the time, work-life balance.
Mhm.
I'll be honest with you, Latanya, I don't think there's any such thing. It's all you're doing the same work all day at home and at your office. You're the same person. How are you supposed to split those things?
Yeah, I mean, and I don't say work-life balance because it's harmony in the sense that you have to figure out how to make it all flow together, right? And some things, some seasons in your life, something is going to be take up more time than something else, right? So you can't have balance if everything is equal,
No,
right? And
absolutely not. And I hear
right,
that phrase all the time, and I just I'm going to break a tooth one day. It's like, no, 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 but keep going.
right, right. So if you're, especially when you're in the beginning phases of your business, like your focus is on sales and getting out there, meeting people, putting contracts together, and you're kind of in that hustle mode. So your personal life, you have to make a lot of sacrifices. You're not going out with your friends as much, or you're not, having those date nights or doing all the extra things with your kids. So you have to put some things in place, whether that's, hey, I need a babysitter, or maybe I need to have a carpool. So, taking little Johnny to soccer practice, I'm not doing it 5 days a week, but maybe now I'm doing it 2 days a week. And that frees you up to have an extra 3 hours in the week to focus on, hey, maybe I need to do my marketing, or maybe I need to spend this time doing consultations, or whatever it is, because you're working on the business and in the business.
And I think that's so important, and that's why I'm stressing it. And you just reiterated what I was trying to say. Look, I'm not an entrepreneur as I understand entrepreneurship. I'm a solopreneur, very definitely. But I made those mistakes in my early days. I was working all the time. My office is in my home,
Mhm.
but I had to, you're going to laugh at me. I had to put a note on my office door, shut the door when you leave it at night. Because if I decide, oh, I need to go do something, I'd see that sign, oop, and I'd turn right back around and say, it can wait.
Mhm.
Because I was hurting myself. I really was. I was working nonstop. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. That's where that harmony comes into place, right? And you realize, oh my gosh, I just spent 12, 13 hours working on this, and I still have to sleep and eat and do
Hmm.
whatever. It's tough. And sometimes you need that person to say, it's okay to let it wait for tomorrow.
That's exactly right. So, can you share some actionable strategies that small businesses can implement to improve
Mhm.
efficiency and scalability before or after they hire you or somebody like you?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing that I want to do with people is to tell them, document your process. Right? How do you create those results for your clients? And it doesn't have to necessarily mean that you are pulling out a Google Sheet or Google Doc, or however you document your processes, and line by line, first step, I do this, next, I do this. It can be as simple as you turning on Loom, that's LOOM, and and it's just recording you working, right? And what that does is, one, Loom creates your standard operating procedures. Two, it's going to document your processes. There's another site that I use, Scribe, SCRIBE, as well, to create some of those SOPs, and that can turn into a training for the person that you hire next, and they can say, this is exactly how I create the results that I'm creating for my clients, right? So document those processes and really look at them to see, uh, is there anything that I could be doing better? Is there a step that I can eliminate? Is there something that I can leverage, something like AI or another platform, to do this faster? Right. So start with the documenting of your process, because one mistake that I commonly see is, you get to the point of, okay, I'm ready to hire someone, whether that's a VA or another contractor or an employee, to start to do some of the work that you're doing or support you in the work that you're doing, but nothing is documented. So you don't have that structure in place to teach them. And it's frustrating, not just for you, because you're trying to figure out, well, why can't this person recreate these results? But for them, because they don't have the structure in place in order for them to do that. So if you are working on something and you figured out how to do it really, really well, document what that process is.
Listen, I agree with you. And I was a big part of the virtual assistance industry for a long time. And then I decided I didn't have it in me anymore to do it. But for a long time, I was very, very active in it. And I would hear constantly kind of what you just referenced, I've hired these people and they're not doing what I want them to do. Well, what did you tell them to do? Well, I told them to do this, that. Did you teach them how to do it? People don't understand that when you bring somebody on board, you need to train them to work with you and for you. You can't just go, kind of like walking into a dentist's office and tossing a folder on there and say, here, do this.
Right.
That's not going to work. And so many people just don't seem to grasp that they have to work with you. Whatever you're doing with their company, they have to work very closely with you. But, and what you're saying is so important, if they're not documenting and they don't know what they're doing and what they shouldn't be doing, it's a mess and it's
Mm,
going to stay a mess.
that's right.
So you use Loom and Scribe. Okay. I like
Mhm.
them. I'm going to put those in the show notes. So, what are some of when you're working with people, and I know you've been doing this for a long time, what are the most significant benefits you've seen for companies that hire you in particular? Do you have any case studies that you can share with us without sharing who they are?
Sure. One company grew from was able to 4x their revenue to earn over seven figures in a year, right? And that was through putting the structure in place, putting the processes in place, making sure that the team was working really efficiently. So that looked like understanding what everyone's areas of strength are so that you can do the things that you do really well. And if someone else can fill in some of those gaps, let them do that type of work. Another thing that I've been able to do with my clients is really help them save a lot of time, right? So there's the money gains, but then there's also the time gains. Whether that's creating custom GPTs for them to analyze some of their analysis that they're doing for companies and help them quickly create recommendation reports, get them quicker to report out on those recommendations, which leads to signing a full contract. That's another thing that we've been able to do. Or looking at their team and figuring out, well, what are some of your gaps in your team? Who do we need to hire? I have one client that is wanting to just really focus on sales and truly focus on being that visionary CEO and doesn't want to handle the details. So within a few months of working with her, we were able to remove her from working in the business as much so that she could focus on growing the business. Right. So now I'm handling a lot of her onboarding, her training, her sales calls and business development activities. And she gets to spend time focusing on, let me go out there and network with people. Let me, uh, turn on my light and make sure that people can see who we are and what we do. And that gave her more time back. The latest thing that we're working on with her is we just restructured her calendar. So now she has off on Fridays, right?
Ooh,
And
I
yeah,
bet she's happy.
absolutely. Right. Because now she has a day where she can do that self care and it doesn't have to wait to the weekend. Or she could, if she needs to do catch up on some work, she has time to do that too. But moving her Friday activities, which were really based on strategy. Now, think about that. By Friday, you're tired. Your brain is not working as well as it may be on a Monday. So we actually shifted a lot of her activities to Monday, that deep strategic thinking, and then made Tuesday through Thursdays as client facing and meeting days. And so now Friday she has the freedom to be creative or not, right? Because self-care and rest should absolutely be a part of your strategy.
And you just mentioned creativity, and that's something that when you're tired, you're exhausted, you're worried about whatever it is, creativity just says, I'll be over there behind the tree. You call me when you need me.
Right,
You
right.
have to take care of yourself, whether it's meditation, which I don't do, but I do open my refrigerator door and stick my head in there until the door, starts saying, close me, close me, close. And I calm down. And honestly, it helps. It clears me, and I can go, ooh, now I've got an idea. But
Yeah.
yeah, I love what you're doing with her. She's got Friday off. That's amazing. I wonder what that looks like. I'm gonna have to figure that out. But one of the things that I don't think we talked about it in the pre-interview or even this morning in the green room, but my question is, it just popped into my head, is that when you're looking at the office, you're looking at the people populating the office. I'm guessing, Latanya, that you're seeing, skills that other people in maybe the CEO, maybe the office manager have not quite figured out that these skills exist. Are you helping upskill people
Oh, absolutely. So
and moving them around like you don't belong over there, go over there?
yes. And so part of my background does include training and development. I actually ran a training and development office for one of the agencies that I supported. So I love training people and I love really figuring out what people want to do. I remember there was one client, I did a strategic planning retreat with them. It was a few days with them. And one of the things that we asked was, uh, what is your superpower? What are some of those things that you want to do for your organization that you're not able to do? right? Because a lot of times we get hired into one role and it's the role that the organization thinks they need, but then you're not seeing all of the person's gifts. Or they, by doing the work, find out, hey, I'd really like to do this. I'm really interested in doing that. So I ask people, what do you want to do? How do you want to grow? What skills do you want to take on? And I like to get people active in being active in their growth too, right? So let's say they ask to go to a conference. Great, go to the conference, and then I want you to come back and host a lunch and learn and teach your
Ooh,
colleagues what you learned.
a lunch and learn. Okay, I wrote that down. Keep going.
Yeah, and the reason why you want to do that is because you listen differently to something when you know you have to teach it. Right? So if you're teaching something, you really have to understand whatever that subject is. So you're going to be listening more intently. You're going to ask yourself different questions while you're sitting in that conference. You're going to be taking better notes, right? And then when you get back from the conference, because you have to teach someone else what you learned, you are going to reinforce those principles that you learn. So that's a great way for someone to upskill themselves, but also give additional ROI back to the organization and really showcase some of their gifts. You know, ask them what they want to do, ask them what their superpowers are, and really be invested in their future and their growth.
And you're right, train them. It may be that, and right now, of course, AI is, if you're not paying attention, you need to start paying attention to AI.
Oh,
You're never getting away from it. You might as well embrace it and learn it. Learn it as a skill.
absolutely.
And that's me talking. I'm not hollering, but it's important. I'm a web
No, no, no.
developer.
So
Yeah.
put the bullhorn to your mouth and shout that if you
Oh,
don't
okay, good.
if you don't learn to work with AI, you are working yourself out of a job.
And let's talk about that. And it's not in my list of questions for you, but let's talk about that because that seems to be a big, big issue. I'm
Yeah.
going to lose my job. I'm going to lose my job. You are if you don't pay attention.
Right.
So let's talk about that. Expand on that if you would.
Sure. So what I tell people is AI, like you just mentioned, isn't going away. Now, if you think about the future of work, the future of an organization consists of people resources and AI resources, right? So your AI can do a lot of those repetitive tasks. We can even have some agentic bots in there that are doing things like customer service, answering questions, some of those things where you don't necessarily in the future will need a person because you can train that AI to do some of the work, right? Another thing that it may do is taking the first stab at social media is a common one. We all know that social media is now being taken over by, by AI and blog writing and things like that. But that's just the first step. Now that person is going to step in and they're going to say, okay, great, this is an amazing starting point. Now let me expand on that. Let me add in some of those stories. Let me customize it for the organization, right? AI isn't necessarily going to do that for you.
No, it's not. And people, and I'm going to interrupt because this is
Mhm.
important. People will put something in Chat GPT or Perplexity or whatever your tool is of the day. And then they'll just copy it and put it somewhere. Listen, people are getting smarter about that. We understand when you didn't write it. Use
Mhm.
it as a guidepost. So it's like, okay. And I've got a lot, I've got my GPTs too. I know, yeah, write in my voice, do this, do that. And then I will take it because I use it as a starting point. Then
Mhm.
I take whatever it provided and I put it back in my own voice.
Yes, absolutely. And that's how you get to understand what AI can do for you. It helps you be more efficient. I hear a lot of times, you know, people are working two or three jobs. You were hired for one role. So how do we get you back to that one role? Well, you want to leverage the tools and the resources that are available to you, and AI is one of them.
Absolutely. So when you're working with people now, is that one of the, I don't know, you must have top three or five things that you see all the time. Is AI one of them?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So while I'm looking at their processes and how do we make them more efficient, one of the things that I'm considering along with the people that they have in place and the technology is, well, can we use AI for any part of this process? right? Where does it step in? Do we need to create some custom GPTs for you? Do we need to leverage AI to start doing some research for you? So research that may have taken someone several hours or even several weeks to complete. Can we do that in a few minutes? You mentioned Perplexity. Well, Perplexity is a great resource to do some research. Or if you use the deep research function in Chat GPT or Perplexity, you can get a lot of information that would have taken you a really long time in just a few minutes.
You can, and I'll give you an example. I get podcast requests daily,
Mhm.
Saturday and Sunday, daily, multiples. So I like Perplexity for this. I will go to Perplexity and to just use you as an example. I say, okay, please tell me about Tonya Roberts and her company. And tell them who you are. And then it'll provide a whole bunch of stuff. I'll click on a few things and go, oh, that's interesting. And my next question is going to be, would she be an appropriate or helpful guest for your partner in Success Radio? And this is where Perplexity just goes, oh, yeah. It gives me all the reasons why you would be a tremendous guest.
Oh, I love
Took
that.
me 5 minutes.
There you go. Right. And Denise, how long did it take you before to do that type of research?
Oh, you have no idea. Well, you do have an idea. Way too long.
Way
Because
too
I would
long.
get the one sheet and then I would have to go to, LinkedIn. And then I'd have to go over here and I'd have to go look at your website. And listen, when people say, Denise, you've got a great team for your podcast, you're talking to her, I'm it. And it took a lot of work to gather up all, the one sheet's great, but
Mhm.
one sheets are largely fictional, I find. So
Mm,
just so you know. So I have to do my own research because I don't want to invite anybody on the show that's not going to be a great asset for my listeners.
there you go.
So Perplexity does it for me, and I'm so happy about that.
Yeah. So that proves the point, right? So using AI to save you time, like stop fighting it. It's here. It's not
It's
going.
here. That's exactly right. So when did you start working with AI? Because it's been around
Oh,
for a while, but the last couple of years, people are just, oh my God, I love it, or oh, I'm going to lose my job. There doesn't seem to be middle ground.
no. And I've been using AI for quite some time. We all have. We may
We
not know
didn't know it.
it.
Yeah.
We know it. Right. So one of the companies that I used to work with was Deloitte Consulting. And in our learning and development area, we use machine learning to figure out what are some of those training topics that people need to learn. And it's based on what you're already learning. So you go on, let's say, LinkedIn Learning and you select a course. Well, it's going to suggest other courses for you. That's
Like
AI.
Amazon. Amazon started it
Yeah,
way back in the
Amazon.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
machine learning.
Facebook. How is it that you can start talking? You know, our phones are always listening, but how is it that you start talking about something and all of a sudden you get ads for that thing that you were talking about? And you never had those ads before. That's AI, right? So we've all been using it for years in some other capacity. It just got popular, it just got more mainstream. So I've been using it for several years. And then in the last few years in my business, I mean, gosh, everyone knows how chat came up, you know, during the pandemic and once I started hearing more buzz about that, I said, oh, let me figure this thing out. And so while I'm not a chat GPT guru or OpenAI guru, I definitely use it almost every day to get my work done because I am a small, lean team, right? And so if I, just like you, if I can do something faster, more efficiently, that frees up my time to do other things as well. Or that frees up my mental capacity to be more creative.
It does. And I'm so glad you brought that up because listen, we can get exhausted very, very quickly.
Yeah.
I can, we all can. And by the end of the day, well, around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm shutting down because I'm
Mhm.
tired. I've been up moving since probably between 4 and 6 a.m. I've been working all that time. At 2 o'clock, I say, I'm hungry, I'm quitting, and I don't come back because I only eat once a day. And I come back probably somewhere around 7 or 8 p.m. and I
Mhm.
may work until 1 in the morning, but that's how my body works. So chat, honestly, and I'm going back to chat or GPTs, gives me the opportunity to take that break, take that, physical break, walk the dog, cook a gumbo, do whatever I want to do. But then I can come back in and I'll get on one of the models that I'm working with and say, I had an idea while I was cooking my gumbo, and
Mm,
off we go.
there you go.
So it's
There-
very creative and it's very efficient if you know what you're doing. I think what we're telling you guys, everybody, Tanya and I are both telling you, learn ChatGPT, get familiar with it. Don't
Mhm.
cheat with it, but get familiar with it.
Very familiar, right? And if there was one model, that's probably the model I would start with.
Chat.
Is chat. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Me
chat,
too.
it allows you to do so many things. And what I love about these models is there's so many of them out there and they're all vying for the same people, right? So they're constantly improving themselves. If you're
Yep.
using
They are.
Google Workspace, you have Gemini in there. Gemini is great. If you're not a good writer or you're that person's like, I just need to put out a few bullet points, then you can go hit on that little Gemini icon and say, polish this for me, make it more formal, summarize this. And it's great. Again, that's going to save your mental capacity to do other things because you don't have to think of the perfect email or the perfect paragraph or whatever you're writing.
Exactly. And I still do some social media for clients that have been with me for a decade or better. And
Mhm.
I will say, okay, give me 10 topics for the month of June about blah, 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 blah. Then
Mhm.
give me 10 Instagram size images to go with it. I walk off, I come back, and my work's done.
There you go. Yeah. I did that this morning with my assistant.
Yeah,
I said,
it works.
it works. I said, okay, we have our marketing stuff together. And I said, okay, this isn't working. I want to change it this way. Popped in my little social media bot and was like, hey, this is what I want to change. Here's who it's for, boom, boom, boom. Here's a topic for this month. And I have the rest of June done. So here
Yeah.
you
Yep, I did the same.
go.
I scheduled everything this morning through the 15th, and this afternoon I'll do the rest of the month. So, and I'll change things a little bit, but at this point, it's been trained to understand my voice and my client's voice. It's
Mm-hmm.
not difficult. It took some doing, but once I've got it, it's like, okay, give me June. All right, next we're going to do July.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
enjoy it. I mean, and I'll say, yeah, I argue with it every once in a while. No, that's not what I wanted. Oh, I'm sorry. And it talks back. Oh, I'm sorry. What
Right.
would you like? So it's gotten over time. It's instead of you just issuing instructions to these tools, they'll talk back and say, "Oh, that's a great idea," or
Mm-hmm.
"Good job, Denise." It's like, "Oh, I've got a friend." So that's when you live alone, you need friends, right? So there is that. But okay, so we've talked about Chat GPT and how that works in your business, and you're training people in other businesses, I guess, to do the same. But tell us about your signature framework.
Sure. So I have my operations goldmine checklist, and this is it breaks out 8 parts of operations to really figure out where we need to what we need to prioritize in your business, what's working, what's not. Maybe you haven't thought about certain areas of your business, right? So what's your growth model? How are you expanding on what you currently have? Uh, who is your target audience? Who are the people that are in your business? How are you measuring success? Are your operations lean? Right? Because there's so much out there. Are you wasting money on stuff that you don't need to use? Right? I'm going to look at all of that. Do you have the right people in place? Are you connecting with your target audience? Do you have the right systems and the processes in place? And are you measuring them for success? How do you know you're doing what you need to do or when you need to pivot? Right. So the checklist doesn't necessarily, or the assessment doesn't take too long to do, but there are key questions that are in there across these different 8 areas that are really going to make you think. Right. And that's what I want you to do. I want you to think about, what am I not doing that I could be doing better? Where do I need to prioritize my time? So we're going to use that model to really figure out all those things. And then we put together a game plan. I love doing annual strategic plan with my clients and doing quarterly business reviews because we're checking in. And then every week we're looking at some of those targets and those goals that we set and say, are we on track or are we not on track? What else do we need to add? What's changing in the environment? How can we get ahead of things? And so in the past, how this has helped is looking at what clients are buying. There was a particular service offering that one of my clients had. And I was like, you know what? This was really great when we first started the service offering, but I've noticed that the clients aren't buying this anymore. They're pivoting more towards something else, right? And we offer this thing, but most people don't know it. So, what is the impact on that? Now we need to start changing our language in our marketing. It changes our language when we communicate with our clients to want to make sure that they are informed that we have this service offering available to them. Get them to start talking about some of their challenges around that so that you can share, well, this is how I could fix this for you. Is this something that you would like help with? Um, all of your communications, you want to bring that out. Maybe it's your blogs, your email list. There's such a huge impact on how you look at the data that is available to you to figure out when you need to pivot, and can you pivot earlier before it becomes a huge problem and all of a sudden you're like, I have no sales pipeline. My clients are no
Yeah.
buying this, and this was a huge part of my service offering, and now it's zero. Right. And so in that particular case, we were able to pivot 2 years before it would have become a huge issue. And that kept us stirred. Right. And then we continually looked at the data and said, oh, now they're not buying this. So let's pivot this, or we need to really play up this particular service. And that's been really, really helpful because you have the data there. It's what you pay attention to, what you measure, right? And you
Right.
figure out, okay, this isn't working, or in a few months, this is going to be a problem.
Now, Latanya, when you're talking with these founders, business owners, are you looking at their culture? Because that's a big
Oh, yeah.
thing. That's so important. And so many people realize a little bit too late that their culture is kind of toxic.
Absolutely. And that's, it's so funny because my focus this month is on inclusive leadership. And so culture is a big part of that, right? You want to make sure that people are actually happy in the job that they're doing. They want to work for you, right? Because you're going to get the best from those people when they actually feel like they enjoy their work, they're appreciated because of the work that they do. I was speaking to a client last week. I also do executive coaching, and she broke down in tears because she didn't feel seen, heard, and valued. And that's unfortunate because, leaders were a lot of times we get so focused on what we have to do, and we have to create such a certain outcome or bring in a certain amount of money, but we forget that our team is the one that helps us be successful. And so we need to take care of them as well. And you create
Yeah.
that culture of psychological safety. Do your team members feel like they're okay with coming to you with some great ideas? And know that, hey, not every idea has to knock it out the park. Right? But eventually you get to that great idea. But they have to be okay with being able to speak to you and know that you're not going to come to them and say, oh, that was a dumb idea. Or what would make you say that?
Right, right. The days of just do what you're told and nobody gets hurt, long gone. And
Absolutely.
what you're talking about here is why so many people, we hear all the time, I can't keep employees, they're jumping ship.
Hmm.
What are you doing to make sure that they don't want to jump ship?
Absolutely. So hold that mirror up, because you're a large part of that. People are loyal to people, right? You may not have the money to promote someone or give them a raise, but if you treat them well, guess what? They may stay longer. They say, hey, I want to support you. I want to be there for you. I understand what's going on. And you may not be able to give me that $5,000 raise or whatever it is, but I know that if I went somewhere else, I'm not going to be taken care of.
Well, and once they're heard, they're a lot more liable to say, I have an idea. Can I share it with you? And
Yeah.
that idea may not fall just yet. It may be something you have to say, let me think about that, but I'm not going to forget about it right now. It's not workable, but I'll keep it in the back of my head. Or it's
Mhm.
like, holy cow, where did that come from? Let's do it.
Right. Right. And being fully present when you're speaking to someone, to put that phone down and stop
Oh,
looking at
yeah.
the computer,
Yeah.
right? Just
Yeah.
really lock in with them for a couple of minutes. so that they feel you, they feel your energy, they feel connected to you, they feel like you're actually listening to them and they are a priority.
Well, active listening is important. It really is. And when you say put the phone down, I have a rule in my house because I'm the best cook among my friends, and
Mm.
I've got room in my house to host things like this. Thanksgiving, Christmas, they're always here, and I love to cook. I made a rule many, many years ago. You either turn that thing off or you leave it in the car, or you don't get fed. No turkey for you. And I meant it. And so Thanksgiving's a lot more fun now because we're
Oh,
actually communicating, we're talking. TV's off, phones are off, we're having a good time.
mm-hmm. There you
So,
go.
actionable strategies for SMEs, and you're going to need to explain probably what SMEs are, but what are some actionable strategies for SMEs to implement simple, sustainable, and scalable systems that foster growth and efficiency? I think we've talked a bit about it, but can you kind of just wrap it up for me so people go, oh, that's what they were saying?
Yeah, so you're subject matter experts, right? You're really, really good at the one thing or the couple of things that you do really, really well. Think of it as your superpower or your gift, let everyone comes to you. How can you grow something and make it simple? Okay, so what is that thing that you find yourself doing over and over again? Now document it. Once you document it, you want to look at how is this sustainable? Are you able to duplicate this process? Let's say over the next 3 or 6 months, are you going to be burnt out from doing it? Are you operating at a rate that is sustainable for you and your energy? Right. And if you're not, then you need to make some changes. Right. Again, going back to, are you leveraging the tools and the resources that are available to you to make yourself more or that process more efficient? Is there someone else that you need to bring into this process, right? So if you are a team of one right now, can you hire a contractor to come on and take some of this process? Can you use Fiverr or Upwork to take on a piece of this puzzle for you, right? So how do you get it to the point where it's actually sustainable over a long period of time and you're not burning out from it? And then once you've gotten that process down and it's simple, it's sustainable, then you can pour gas on the fire, right? And you can scale up, meaning that you are able to do more of that one thing, right? So, yeah.
Right. And there's going to be things that I think when you're creating these processes and identifying what you do every day, all the
Mhm.
time, you're going to find a lot of things that you shouldn't be doing. You
Right.
hand those off.
Absolutely. And think about it. Okay, so I'm speak to my CEO here. When you start that business or you started that business, or that solopreneur that decides, you know what, I'm ready to uh, have a team. You were doing everything in the business. You were wearing multiple hats. You were coming up with the strategy. You were executing the strategy. You're marketing. You're doing the business development. You're fulfilling your sales and doing all the operation stuff. You're closing out. You are doing a ton of things. You feel like an octopus, right? And now you're at the point where you've done a great job. So high five to you. But now it's time to scale up and bring on team members. Really look at what you do. And I'm not just going to say a day because, when you're an entrepreneur, you're running your business, no 2 days look the same. But if
Nope.
you really look at what you've done over, let's say, a week, right? And analyze your stuff over a week and figure out, okay, well, I do these tasks all the time. These are my repetitive tasks. And then the next question you're going to ask, do I like doing this stuff? Right? And yes or no, yes, I like it. No, I don't like it. Okay, great. Then is this something that I can delegate to someone else? Now, some of those things that were on your no, I don't like it list are maybe things that you can't delegate. That's okay. You're going to keep those things. You're just going to figure out what's the best time for you to work on those. And those items that you can delegate, that's where we start to bring in other players, right? And then it may start off by going to Upwork or Fiverr and hiring someone temporarily. Then it may turn into you bringing on a contractor who can do it on a part-time level. Then it may turn into you bringing on a W-2 employee once you've really scaled up that business. but you need to know what your starting point is or that baseline is and figuring out what it is you need to do all the time. Do you like it or not? Can you delegate it or not? And then where do you go from here?
And when you're trying to figure out what has to be done, a lot of times you don't even know why you're doing it.
Right.
So let's talk about that. How do you figure out, like, I'm doing this? I don't know if I was told to do this by another entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Is this actually moving the needle?
Right. Is there a return on investment?
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
do this
A lot
and
of
this,
it's just
and
habit.
yeah, like why am I doing this? Okay, I put out this post. Am I getting clients from it? Am I
No,
getting engagement from it? No.
right?
And
Right.
it's so funny because everyone says, you need to be omnipresent. You need to be posting 2 times a day on da da da. That is that's a marathon. Okay, that is a long
It
game
is.
plan,
It
right?
is. And I'm having the same conversation with myself because I've been creating, and I enjoy them, which is why I do it, but I've been creating these Monday through Sunday little wisdom posts.
Mhm.
Has anybody ever said, "Oh, I like that. Can I hire you?" No. So I'm thinking I'm just doing it for ego because I enjoy it, but it doesn't serve any real purpose. And now I need to make the decision. We're at the midpoint pretty soon of the year. Do I keep doing this or do
Mhm.
I switch to something else? So I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. So you look at that stuff, right? And so one of the things that I've been pushing is what I'm doing right now, get on other people's podcasts, leverage their network, right? Because more people are going to hear you. You're able to get your word out. Whether they are walking the dog or driving into the office, people listen to podcasts. That's one of the things that I missed about actually going into the office. I would catch up on my podcast, right?
Really?
Yeah, I love podcasts.
And see, I'm writing a book called Marketing as Podcasting as Marketing.
It
Because
is.
it is. And I will tell anybody who will listen, and I think I shared this with you in the green room. I'm a web developer by trade. It used to say if you don't have a website, nobody's going to find you. If you don't have social media driving traffic to that website, you've got a pretty boat anchor. Now I'm telling people if you don't have a podcast as a host or a guest and a website, you're invisible. Take my
Mhm.
word for this.
Right. And so those other foundational things, the website and the social media, those come up after someone finds out who you are. So
Right.
if you Google yourself, you want to make sure that what if you have a common name? You need to be the one that comes up on page one at the very top. So what comes up? Those podcasts that you were on, the podcasts that you're hosting, news articles that you were in, all of your media. And then what's next? Looking at your social media and your website, or someone says, hey, I really like what you said on your podcast. Well, what's the next thing? They go look for you. They're going to Google you and they're going to find out all those things. So you need to have those other things, but you also need to make sure that people can find you and find that medium that people are going to be going to more often that has the most visibility. And in this case, podcast is a
Podcasting. Yep. And
Mhm.
there's a big argument right now going on, do I do, an audio podcast, which is all I do is audio. And, now there's the side of that, oh, you have to do video. I don't agree. I really don't. You're not going to get me to sit down and watch a darn thing. Give me a book. I'm there. I'll read the back of a cereal box. But we all learn differently. And like you said, walking the dog, going to the gym. Me, I'm standing over the stove, making a gumbo,
Yeah,
but I'm listening. I don't want to watch anything. And so
absolutely.
you have to be where people are.
That's right. And I will on my cleaning day, I'll pop on my headphones and block out my family and listen to a podcast. I'll find like a long podcast. Like if I need to clean my closet, I know this is gonna take a while. So I'll find podcasts that I want to listen to and I just get in my little bubble and I clean listening to my podcast.
And you learn so much. Here's the
Mhm.
thing about, podcasts like mine and some of the others that I admire. We're talking with people who are expert. You guys
Yes.
are experts at what you do. I come away from every conversation, Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays, and I've learned one or two or three things that I didn't know before.
Mm-hmm.
And I write those down. And then I go back and I do a little bit of research on it. To me, it's like university. It's a
It
bit
is. It is a
podcasting
part of your
university.
personal development.
Right, that's
Yeah.
exactly right. So, and I'm glad you're here. I mean, when you connect with me, I went, oh yeah, I want to talk with her. But I also found your story and the work you do fascinating.
Thank
So if
you.
I find it fascinating, so does my audience.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, get on podcasts, become a host, become a guest, become a highly sought after guest is my best advice to anybody who's listening. Just show up and show up big. Okay, so what else ooh, we are running out of time. You were talking about building inclusive, high performing teams.
Mm-hmm.
Any further thoughts on that?
I know that DEI or diversity, equity, and inclusion is one of those hot button words right now. Um, but it doesn't mean that it's not important. And really, what we're talking about here is leveraging the diversity of your people, and that goes beyond gender and race.
Hmm.
It's the diversity of thought, the diversity of experiences, educational background, where you work, right? Because that's going to lead to innovation. That's going to lead to you connecting with other people, and then creating space for everyone to thrive, not just a certain group of people, right? So putting in those equitable practices that levels the playing field. We talk about equality and making sure that all things are equal, right? Inclusion is really putting in those spaces and those places for people to feel like they belong in an organization. So I say inclusion is the act and belonging is the feeling,
And
right?
that goes back to culture.
It goes back to and that's exactly what it is. It is creating that culture where everyone can thrive if they put in the work, right? Are they aligned to your values? Are they making sure that they're taking care of others? Are they willing to share a new idea or help their colleague or you when they see that something is wrong? Right? So creating that culture, being inclusive so that people feel like they belong. And you think about it, we give up so much of our time to our job, sometimes more time than we get to actually spend with our family. So your job becomes a second family to you. You want to get along with your family. You want to feel like you belong in the family, right?
Right,
So
right.
creating that environment where people can do that. And I don't care if you call it DEI, inclusion, or culture, it is still the thing. It's make sure you're setting up a space for people to thrive.
And it does matter because, well, as you said, whatever you want to call it, it matters because if you're walking around with unknowingly your shoulders are hunched because you don't know who's behind you, what they're going to do, if you trust them, if they trust you, you're just constantly looking over your shoulder. Go find another job.
Yeah. And your
Seriously, get
body
out of
will
there.
tell you
I know.
that shoulder hunching, that is your body saying, I'm having an allergic reaction to this environment I'm in. I need to get out of here.
Back in the day when I had a job, it was a long time ago. I am unemployable, trust me on this. And there was this little boss. It was kind of a part-time job. I was going back to school and I couldn't stand him. And he knew it. So it was kind of like a cat who knows you can't stand them. They're going to rub on you. Oh God. Anytime I see his face in my head, I still go, blah. The guy just creeped me out. But I got out. I took my own advice. I cannot stay here. I'm going to hit him with a chair. So I got out before I was jailed.
Good, good.
Yeah.
You should go to jail.
Yeah. I didn't have bail money. I needed the job. So, but yeah, if it's just not working for you, listen, nature abhors a vacuum. If
Mhm.
you give up on something else, something, or you leave something, there is something else for you. Just it'll show up. I promise you it will. Listen, Latanya, thank you so much for being with us here today. So what's next for you and where can people connect with you and find your work?
Sure. So what is next for me is I'm actually starting my podcast soon.
Aha.
Yeah, yeah.
Good for
So
you.
backstage with both women.
Yeah. Well,
So
listen, when
yeah,
it's ready, make sure you let me know so I can post it out for you.
I will. Thank you so much. So yeah, that's the next big thing. Hope to launch next month. And then but you can find me on all social media, and my website is harmonyconsultinggroup.org. So ORG, harmonyconsultinggroup.org. And yeah, and then you can connect with me everywhere from there.
Well, it has been a pleasure chatting with you today, and you are welcome to come back anytime. Listen, seriously, when your podcast is ready, I want to know about it. So
All right, I will let
send
you know.
me,
I will
yeah,
definitely reach out. Thank you.
send me an email. Well, listen, everybody, in this episode of Your Partner in Success Radio, I was able to welcome Tonya Roberts. She is a highly accomplished fractional COO to discuss how small businesses can scale strategically. I can't even see. It's not even Friday. I'm already tired. Scale strategically without the overhead of a full-time executive team. This is going to end badly, I'm afraid. Let me try again. So she shares her insights on fractional leadership, operational excellence, and the growth strategies that help businesses streamline, scale, and succeed. So whether you're an entrepreneur feeling stuck or a small business owner preparing for the next level, this conversation really was packed with clarity, inspiration, and more importantly, actionable advice. So find her. You can find her on LinkedIn. You can find her at her website. And then subscribe to Your Partner in Success Radio for more conversations that matter. And don't forget to leave a review. Latanya, thank you so much. It has been a genuine pleasure.
Thank you.
Get your voice heard. If you would like to launch your own far-reaching podcast, contact Denise Griffitts at yourofficeontheweb.com and go to the podcast tab.